All right. Well, you wouldn't know from the weather outside that the National Weather Service is predicting a snowstorm of historic proportion in the next couple of days. And maybe the weather report will be wrong, but we are preparing right now as if it's correct. I want to talk to the people of the city about what you could expect over the next 4 or 5 days. And we know with the volatility of the climate cycle, we got to pay attention. Last June, we had a report there was going to be 2 inches of rain, and we got the biggest rainstorm in Detroit history. We know it's volatile, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if we've got the kind of snowstorm they're talking about that if it hits the way they're predicting, most of us have never seen. So let's tell you what we are doing today as a city and what you can do to protect yourself, because you've seen the reports up to 16 inches of snow. So what I am doing now is I've issued a declaration activating the city's snow emergency routes. This is something that hasn't been used in recent years in Detroit, and I hope those of you who are watching, who are block club presidents, people active on Nextdoor, let's explain this. So by the order activating the snow emergency routes, you have to move your car from the emergency routes by midnight tonight. Now, an emergency route is not every street in the city. By ordinance, there are about 75 emergency routes that have to be cleared so that police, fire, EMS can get there. How do you know? Because this red and white sign is on this. You have gone past these red and white signs every day of your life, and you never noticed them. For the next 2 or 3 days, they are going to be important. These are the routes that police, fire, EMS need. If your car is parked on a snow emergency route, it's going to be ticketed or towed. If you're in a residential street, it's extremely likely it's not a snow emergency route. It's only about 75 streets in the city, but it's very easy for you to tell. All you got to do is look up. If there are red and white signs where you are parking, move your car. So we've activated the snow emergency routes for exactly this reason, because we're going to keep these routes clear. Our city crews are going to be on the main roads throughout the storm. They'll be out tomorrow morning, and they are going to stay out on the street for 4 or 5 days until every street is cleared down to pavement. We've got 50 trucks in the fleet that can either be salt trucks or plows, and they will be out there with 100 drivers. So basically what Ron Brundage and the team do is send 50 trucks out with 50 drivers while the other 50 rest. They work 12 hours. They bring them back to the yards. We switch the other drivers. They go back out for another 12 hours. We are going to owe an enormous debt of gratitude to the workers in this city who are basically going to be on 12, off 12 for the next 4 or 5 days. And we hope that you will be courteous in, if you are on the road, giving them plenty of room. And we will also have crews continually clearing the parking lots at the police precincts, at the DDOT terminals, the firehouses, so that our emergency response is always ready to go. Here's the second piece, and it's the residential streets. Longtime Detroiters know the history. For many years, Detroit didn't plow the residential streets at all. It was basically God sent it, God can take it away. We put in a new policy a few years back that said if there's more than 6 inches of snow, we will send contractors in to clear the street. And last year we even knocked that down to about 4 inches to provide a different level of service. We have one of our contractors here, but we have 5 contractors on board, nearly 2,000 miles of residential street, and we have said to them, we want you to prepare for a 4-day job, Thursday through Sunday, to get every neighborhood street cleared. The plan today, and if the weatherman's wrong, we may change this, but based on the weather report we have right now, the plan today is to send all contractors out at 6 a.m. Thursday morning. And they are going to go for 36 hours till Friday evening at 6. And by then, every street in the city should have been cleared. Normally, we don't send the contractors into the neighborhoods till all the snow has stopped. In this case, we don't think we can last that long. And so our intention is to send them out Thursday at 6 a.m., even if it's still snowing. And we have talked to the contractors and said, if the weather reports are right and the storm continues through Thursday, we're going to send you out a second time. You can go home and get 12 hours of rest. And then at 6 a.m. on Saturday, we're going to send you back a second time and go another 36 hours through 6 p.m. on Sunday. The city has never done double clearings of a snowstorm in residential neighborhoods before, but based on what we're hearing, this is something we've got to deal with. And if climate change continues, the kind of thing we've got to be prepared to deal with in the future. And our goal is that by Monday morning, every neighborhood street in this city is open so that people can get to school, get to work, get out of their neighborhoods. So if, as it turns out, this is exaggerated, we only need one clearing, that would be great. But all the contractors are prepared to go right back out and do it a second time. And we have 25 city trucks from the General Services Department, and they are going to go in because we've had experience in the past where not all the contractors get to everything they're supposed to. We will have this 25 city trucks in reserve going in for any contractor that falls behind. So that's the game plan, basically 4 days of neighborhood plowing, if that's what it takes, so that Monday morning everybody can get back to their business. What you can do, and while, if you don't have one of those red and white signs, we aren't going to ticket you or tow you, we still would ask that you get your cars off the residential street if you can. There are some neighborhoods in the city where there's just literally no place to put them. We understand that. But you're going to end up being snowed in at least this bad. And here's the other thing we did. For many years, when the city plowed the residential streets, they did a 10-foot path. Longtime Detroiters remember that little rut that would go down in the middle of the street and seemed like it stayed there most of the winter. A couple of years ago, we said we're going to widen that to a double lane. And so our contractors are required now to create a 16-foot path through every neighborhood. That is not going to be possible if we've got cars on both sides of the street. And so the contractors want to do the 16-foot paths, but please pitch in with each other. Loan your neighbor room in the garage or in the driveway, help them move it to a lot nearby, but we got to do everything we can to get these cars off the streets. So we won't be towing them from your street if you can't do it. And again, I'm going to ask those who are active in social media, reassure your friends, because the misinformation gets out there, oh my God, they said there's a snow emergency, they're going to tow the car from my block. No, we're not going to tow the car unless you're on a snow emergency route with a red and white sign. But we still would be far better off for everybody if you can find a way to move them. Businesses, this drives me nuts. The city crews will come through, they'll clear the main road, and the business comes in and plows their parking lot and dumps it out on the main street. It's a very dangerous situation. You've got people driving the main streets, and all of a sudden there's a drift of snow they run into. And one of the crews that will be working will be the inspectors from our Building Safety and Engineering Department. And there will be $1,000 fines for businesses who dump the snow from their parking lots onto the street. So you either need to store it on your property, haul it away, but we will be out and we will be actively ticketing any business that dumps their snow into the residential street, and that's a $1,000 fine. Given what we have to deal with, I just don't have any patience for it. You should know better than this. Your contractors should know better than this. Do not plow your parking lot snow into the street. Trash, we all know that these snowstorms affect our trash pickup. It's hard for the garbage trucks to get down the street when there's just a narrow pathway to get through. We're saying right now, go ahead and put your trash out tomorrow morning. We are starting out with the regular DPW pickups, and they're going to go as long as they can. I hope we get through Wednesday before it gets impossible, but go ahead and put your trash out on Wednesday. If we don't get all the way through, leave it there. We'll probably be back through by Thursday. We'll update you on the schedule, but if we don't get there, leave your containers out. I suspect we may have to pay our contractors to pick up in your neighborhood late at night or go into next Saturday. But we are going to get to the trash pickup as fast as we can, and at least for tomorrow, we're going to do our best to keep it on schedule, and Ron Brudgers and the team will have regular updates for you on that. Bus service is going to continue. You can pretty well expect that there will be delays like everything else. We have an app, the DDOT Bus Tracker app. It works pretty well. If you haven't already downloaded it, go ahead and do it, because you can check from your home what the schedule is actually running like, so you don't have to wait out in the cold if you absolutely have to get on a bus quite as long. So please, if you haven't done it before and you need the bus, use the DDOT Bus Tracker app. And for everybody here, we probably got till tomorrow morning before it starts to come down. But there's a real chance you're going to be in your house for a few days. So get what you need, the food, the batteries, the water. Keep your blanket there. And please be careful on shoveling the snow. Don't overexert yourself, because usually in this case, the loss of life we get is not from accidents on the street. Usually it's a heart attack for people who are shoveling. We're going to update you continually throughout this storm, and we are very fortunate in this city in that we have a DPW director who has seen plenty of blizzards in his career, and I was with him my very first week on the job in 2014. I've watched the way he has put in more advanced equipment, more advanced communication, more advanced systems, and we're now training drivers ourselves from our entry-level employees to ultimately build out his team. But I'm going to turn it over at this point to our leader, our DPW director, Ron Brundage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, thank you. As the mayor indicated, our efforts for removing snow is going to be a combined effort between city crews as well as contractors. Within the city of Detroit, we've got 673 miles of major roads that our city crews are going to be clearing. We're going to start out tomorrow morning with initially salting the roads, but then, as the snow continues to fall and accumulate, we're going to immediately switch over to a plowing operation, and that's going to continue until the snow stops. And at that point in time, we'll be able to plow one last time and salt the roads to get them clear. In addition to those 673 miles of major roads, we've got the 1,884 miles of residential streets. And those are the streets that our city contractors are going to be responsible for plowing. In the city of Detroit, in addition to our city jurisdiction roads, we also have roads that fall under the jurisdiction of either Wayne County or the Michigan Department of Transportation. Each of those agencies are responsible for clearing their own jurisdiction roads. Wayne County clears the freeways within the city of Detroit limits, as well as county roads, and some examples are Outer Drive, East and West Outer Drive, Greenfield, Chandler Park Drive, and then the west side portions west of 8 Mile for Finco, McNichols, and 7 Mile. And those are just some examples. And MDOT has indicated the state is responsible for clearing their jurisdiction roads, and many times those are the major spokes throughout the city, and examples are Gratiot, Woodward, Grand River, Michigan Avenue, 4th Street, as well as the Border Street 8 Mile. As we indicated earlier, we have 5 different contractors that are going to be plowing the residential streets. Our contractors are broken up into the 7 city council districts. Districts 1 and 2 are going to be plowed by Jordan Landscaping. Districts 3 and 4 by Payne Landscaping. District 5 by Fontenot Services. District 6 by Gibraltar Landscaping. And District 7 by A-Team Landscaping. Just like to say that 6 of the 7 city council districts that'll be plowed will be plowed by Detroit-based companies, while actually 5 of those 7 council districts will be plowed by African-American-owned businesses. And I'm actually very proud to be able to introduce one of the contractors that's going to be out there making sure that we get our city streets clear. So from Payne Landscaping, I'd like to take the opportunity to bring Terry Payne up to the mic.
Hey, how everybody doing? So we are contractors to provide service for the residential streets. We will be going down doing a 16-inch pass to make sure that the residents could get through without getting stuck. What we ask for everyone to do to make sure that they give us opportunity, our trucks and our contractors be able to get through, okay? I'm here with my son, Terry Payne Jr. He also do the day-to-day operation, so if you have any questions, he probably could answer those at this time.
Anything you want to say to the residents as you're going through the neighborhoods?
Yes. First thing is just be patient with our drivers. It's a hard job. They up all night long trying to make it safe for y'all guys to be able to get through. We would like for one of the things that we know that you might plow y'all driveways, but the snow got to go somewhere. So if you could wait till we be able to come through and clear, so you won't be fussing at the drivers or getting disturbed with the drivers by not that you done just shovel your snow and we just threw it back on the side.
Terry, how many years have you been doing this great work for the city?
Well, we've been doing work for the city, emergency streets, residential streets for the city over 20 years. We always made our quarterly. We was always on time. We did it within 24 hours. This year they gave us 36 because of the speed bumps out there. So my drivers have to take their time to complete the job that we have to provide for the city. So we will be there. I speak on behalf of all the contractors. We gonna be done within 36 hours.
Every agency of city government is pulling together for the next 4 or 5 days, and I want to welcome City Council President Mary Sheffield.
Thank you. Good morning. And as the mayor mentioned, we're all pulling together. I know that City Council is going to get an increase in calls as well, and so I thought it was important for me to be here to make sure that we're encouraging you all to stay safe, to get prepared for this storm, and to let you all know that we are here as a council. You can utilize us. If you have something that you would like to report, we will make sure that we report that to the various agencies. If there's a loss of electricity or heat, we will also make sure we reach out to DTE. So utilize your district council members. Also, your 2 at-large members are here to serve you to make sure that we all get through this safely and on the other side. So we are here to service you all. So please contact us. I'm going to leave my city council office number, and we can make sure that we direct those to various city council members. It's area code 313-224-4505. That's 313-224-4505. If you would like to report anything, any streets that were missed, we will make sure that we get it right over to our director, Mr. Brundage, who does an awesome job, by the way, to make sure that everything is reported. Thank you so much.
And we are coordinating across the board, and DTE is a big part of this. If that snow puts heavy weight on the branches and they snap and take down power lines, the last thing we want are people who are snowed in and without power. And so DTE is going to be very proactive in their response. We're coordinating this, and I'd like to welcome DTE Vice President of Distribution Operations, Joe Masalam.
Thank you, Mayor Duggan, and thank you to the City of Detroit for the opportunity to come and share DTE's plans with you today. My name is Joe Masalam. I'm the Vice President of Storm Response and Emergency Distribution. We've been monitoring this storm for several days, and the good news is we think that it's mostly going to be heavy. It's going to be light puffy snow. We don't think it's going to be the heavy kind that sticks to the lines, but just in case it is, we want to be prepared. So as a precaution, we've been working with 1,000 DTE linemen and contractors in our area. We've got them on standby. We've activated our emergency response programs, and we'll be monitoring this real time along with the mayor and public works and city council, and we'll be ready to help you should anything come up. We've also contacted out of area crews as just a total precaution, just to be extra safe, and put them on alert as well. So if you do experience an outage, we ask that you call DTE Energy at 1-800-477-4747. Now, as a safety message, it's always our top priority, and we want you to look up to know what's down. And down lines on the ground or wrapped in a tree or in the snow can be a problem. So exercise caution when you're outside. Treat every power line you see as if it's live, and always stay 20 feet away from it. And with the heavy snow, we also want to remind everybody, if you have to use a portable generator or any type of piping outside the house, with the snow that comes down, it can sometimes clog it up. go take a look at it, make sure that's clean. We want to make sure none of the residents of the city and any of the customers of DT have any types of issues outside of a lot of snow to shovel over the next couple days. So thank you very much.
Hadn't heard that meteorological term before, but let's hope that Joe's right. It is light, puffy snow. So, Rod,
Yeah,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor, a couple of things. The first thing that struck me was the red and white signs. Not everybody knows where they are. Is there a map that would allow us to know which roads are which?
There is not a map, but it's easy enough to just look. But you can pretty much figure any main road is going to have the red and white signs on them, and residential streets by and large are not. But it's simple enough. All you have to do is look up, and by the next snowstorm, we're going to prepare a map. But we are continuing to refine our responses.
I see. The 12 hours on, 12 hours off, does that mean that there were two people in the truck? Is one resting, while, in other words, literally like sleeping, and then they go for 12 hours and then and switch, or how does it go? And how does it work with the two drivers, and what is the other one responsible for?
No, there'll only be one driver in a truck at a time. So the drivers are actually working 12-hour shifts on and on, so on and off. So when driver A is working that first 12-hour shift, driver B is at home getting rest, and then he comes in. And we're going to have our drivers on shifts from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then the second crew comes in from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep going. Mr. Mayor, the discussion about the speed bumps, that added time, that was unusual to me. I was just curious, how that goes.
So on the streets with the speed humps, they're going to have to go a little bit slower to clear them, and that's something that we in City Council knew. 360 days a year, you are glad you have the speed humps. But there are 5 or 6 days a year when we're plowing residential streets that it slows us down a little bit, something we knew going in and something we're prepared for.
In terms of people being kind to the contractors, being kind to the drivers, has there been sort of an historic issue with people being impatient, and would you want to reiterate the notion that the people should be a little nicer to the drivers?
Yeah, but I'll let Terry Pay talk to his experience firsthand, but my experience is if you went and shoveled your driveway out and an hour later they come down the street and plow it, you tend to get a little bit mad. And certainly people who have had their cars plowed in is most of the anger we're seeing. But Terry has experienced this firsthand. I'll let him answer it.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, for the mayor explained it very, very well. The biggest issue we have with residents is frustration and patience, especially like when you come down and plow the driveway that they just spent, I don't know how long, almost an hour, shoveling themselves out, and we come down and we bury them back in. And that's why we try to make sure that they are aware that if you don't have to leave for any reason, that's very important to just wait for us to come down, or be prepared and already know that if you do shovel yourself out before we come down, that you will have to do it again. And it's kind of over the years we've been having this statement, and it's reduced the frustration a lot from residents. But it used to be a lot worse, but it's getting better, and hopefully we can all be on the same page, because it's going to be a long weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, Kerry. Mr. Mayor, one more question. The whole notion of ticketing and towing cars. What kind of a time frame are we looking at? Does the city have enough tow trucks to be able to work this? And if the car is just ticketed, is there an additional fine or something like that?
Yeah, we're going to try to be reasonable because this is the first time that it's been done. But it's clearly marked. We're hoping you're going to educate us. We're going to try not to be overly harsh. On the other hand, in a huge snowstorm, police, fire, and ambulances have to get through. It's why those red and white signs are there, say snow emergency. And so we'll try to be reasonable what we do. But if it were my car and it were on a street with a red and white sign, I'd move it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Hi. I've been out talking with Detroiters all day today, and every single one has said it's gotten so much better with neighborhoods and streets being plowed. What's your message to Detroiters today?
Well, you have seen a commitment from the mayor and council and DPW. I got to tell you that my first week on the job, Ron remembers, I went out to the yard. In fact, I think I was sworn in that day in the snowstorm. And I was appalled by what I saw. I went and jumped in a truck, which horrified the supervisors. And the truck had no GPS system. It had no radio to communicate back. They basically said, go on out Michigan Avenue till you run out of salt and turn around. I look at the way things were, and I look at the way Ron Brundage has built up a modern department. We've come a long way. The idea that we have 5 contractors, not 2, is extremely encouraging. The fact that we got 25 general service departments trucks ready to go in case one of those 5 contractors falls behind. So we're getting better. We're not where we should be, but we're getting better, and I think everybody up here is committed to it.
You just mentioned contractors. I mean, across the board, there's staffing shortages everywhere. Will all that manpower actually be available come this weekend?
It's going to be slower than it would have been. This is going to be true throughout southeastern Michigan. As far as I know, every agency is down on drivers, so it's going to be slower. But when it's not snowing, you should go see Nicole Sherrod-Freeman's Skills for Life program, because she has taken entry-level city employees who maybe are cleaning an alley or cutting grass, and we're training them as CDL drivers. So we're taking our own entry-level employees, getting them up into the $17, $18 an hour jobs as snowplow operators. We are going to build up our staff from our own talent over time. And as Ron mentioned the other day, if this had been 2 weeks ago and we had 20 or 30 people out with COVID, we'd be in a lot worse shape. So we are in decent shape. We'll be in better shape next winter, but I'm really confident that our dedicated workers, they're going to stay out there till the job gets done.
How short would you say we are right now with contractors?
How far would we say we are? Ron, I'll let you answer that.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, he said we're in good shape, not great shape. In an ideal world, how many more contractors would we have to get the job done?
Well, I think we're very confident with the level of contractors that we currently have on board. I had an opportunity to meet with all of the contractors earlier today, and they reassured me that they've got an adequate number of drivers that they're going to need to handle their responsibilities. I think what the mayor was referring to is that we still recognize, just like everywhere else throughout the region, actually throughout the country, that most operations are not at their maximum staffing levels for drivers. So we're constantly building up. And we're looking at, if we fast forward to this time next year, I could easily envision with things that are happening through the city Skills for Life programs and other training programs, that we can have an influx of an additional 30, 40 drivers.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just for Carrie Payne. Carrie, can you spell your first name? I want to make sure I get it correct. Terry. Terry, is it Terry?
Yes, Terry, T as in Tom, E-R-R-Y.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure I had it
We're
right.
going to be starting tonight, Terry. All right, thank you all very much.
Thanks so much.